You've seen the photographers on YouTube that say, change this setting and it will change your photography. Got a picture of a camera pointing to a menu item. This is a game changer. All of those kind of things, right? All videos aimed at perfection, creating sharper, cleaner images, better exposed images. And I've gone on about this before in my previous video. And we all know that the game changer for your photography is what you do up here, not what you do with that tool. Now, in contrast to that, what I'm noticing is there are some photographers I've been watching on YouTube recently that are saying, don't strive for perfection. Don't worry about that stuff. Embrace imperfection. Both of these camps are wrong. Let me explain why. First of all, let me say, feel free to disagree with what I say. It's just my opinion. It's what I think. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. It's just how I approach things. So let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong. So, perfection. It seems that many photographers are looking at perfection as the enemy. Well, I don't think it is. I think an obsession with perfection is where the problem lies. And the thing is, when people talk about perfection and imperfection, what do they even mean? Nobody's really breaking this down and clarifying this in any great detail as far as I can see. So I've got my own thoughts on that. I can identify two kinds of perfection. There's the technical perfection, and then there's creative perfection. Where this perfection narrative is coming from is, I think, well, the camera world is obsessed with technical perfection, right? Camera companies keep bringing out new lenses and new cameras. You're going to get a better quality image, a sharper image, and we just keep getting fed that. And a lot of people, myself included, do get a bit tired of it because we know it's nonsense. Just because you've got a particularly sharp image doesn't mean it's a good image. Personally, I like to use vintage lenses or vintage inspired lenses like this little guy, little manual focus jobbies that are made with 1930s, 1960s technology basically, and they're far from perfect. I'm not interested in razor sharp images because they're overrated. Just think about some of the iconic photos from the past taken by the masters of their craft like Bresson. You don't remember one of those images because it was so sharp. You remember it because it caught a really interesting moment. It told a story. It moved you. Some of the most powerful images from the past are flawed. They're far from perfect. They're blurry. They're soft, grainy, but they feel real. I think if you over-optimize everything, you can sterilize a moment. The other thing is if you're constantly preoccupied with settings, you're fiddling around trying to optimize everything, you're going to miss the moment anyway. For street, documentary and travel photography especially, the moment matters more than perfect execution. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't learn to master our camera and the core principles of photography so we can quickly react to an interesting moment on the streets in an effective manner. So when people talk about perfection being overrated, I think they're talking about technical perfection, or at least I hope they are. Now, when it comes to creative perfection, we should not compromise, we should not cut corners, we should do everything we possibly can to translate that idea into something perfect. There's a thought that the more you pursue perfection, the less you're going to shoot. Done is better than none, I hear people say. Good enough is fine. But it's not. That's a terrible approach, a terrible mindset. Certainly for things like street photography, event photography, travel, I favor shooting as much as possible and just keep moving and shooting, and that's great. But There are times when you need to just slow down, take your time, and really think about what you're doing, what you're composing, how you're lighting your subject. Yeah, taking time to perfect your composition, get your lighting right, is a good thing. I've seen so many photos that have potential, but the person hasn't just given it that extra 5 or 10 seconds to think about, moving the camera over here rather than here, or just coming around and using the light in a better way to illuminate a face or a building or something. It just requires that little bit of thought. You need to slow down. You need to pursue perfection. Imagine if some of the great artists like Leonardo da Vinci said, it's good enough. I'm not going to bother worrying about putting all those people in the background there in perfectly positioned and get the lighting right. It's fine. It'll be fine. It's good enough. It'll do as it is. There's a balance to be had. We need to know when to fire off loads of frames and move quickly, or when to slow down and take our time and really think about what we're doing to get best results. We need experience and knowledge to know when to use either approach. When we can create a technically perfect image quickly and effectively, that gives us the ability to choose when to deviate on purpose. There was a British comedian called Les Dawson, and he would play the piano really badly to get laughs. But the thing is, he was very good, a very good pianist. He'd mastered it. He just chose to play incorrectly to create his own style. Yeah, he created his own style that stood out. And that's actually the same for Picasso too, right? He was a fantastic painter. He could paint a realistic scene like the best of them. That's how he trained. But he just chose not to. He chose to break everything apart and start a new art movement, or be part of a new art movement. Both of these guys were using their knowledge and experience. I believe imperfection has its place, but it only has value when it's done deliberately, when it's done with intention. For most genres of photography, things that should be thought out and done with intention are composition, focal length, depth of field, exposure, focus, timing. Imperfections like harsh shadows, unusual framing, motion blur. These are all great because these can actually help define your own style of photography, your own visual identity, if you like. These imperfections can create style and character. This is creative imperfection, something we're in control of. I'm of the mind that some of these photographers who talk about embracing imperfect photography are hiding behind imperfection because maybe they're just not skilled photographers. It's just a theory. Don't let imperfection of any kind in your photography become a lazy shield, an excuse for weak work. Maybe this isn't about choosing between perfection and imperfection. It's about understanding both well enough to make a deliberate decision, informed decision. It's actually about intention. Being able to achieve perfection gives you a foundation, it gives you control, it gives you the ability to be able to execute an idea clearly and precisely, whereas imperfection, when used intentionally, gives you character, style, it gives you a voice. But one without the other falls apart. I'm trying to think how I can sum this up succinctly, something I have a hard time doing. Okay, so if you pursue perfection blindly, your work can be lifeless, can have no soul. Whereas if you reject it entirely, your photography can become careless. Does that make sense? Really, I think the ultimate goal with great photography is everything that you put into the frame, everything you do with that frame is done on purpose with intention to create a specific result. this is when photography starts to become less reactive and more expressive. The goal isn't perfection or imperfection. The goal is intention. That's all I've got. Hope it made sense. Thanks for watching.